Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's really nice to be here. Now, before I start, I should say, because I also work for a project called Noise. I've got to plug it because they pay the bills. So, and what they do is they try and promote science to young people and get people enthusiastic about science. So if you're interested in seeing any of this stuff, we do a lot of work in science like this. There's a stand over at the sports hall, and we're doing a cabaret show tomorrow at Building 13. But anyway, on with drinking beer, that's what everybody wants to know. So this all kind of came out of one day. I was sitting in the pub, and I like to drink Guinness. It's a bit stereotypical, I'm afraid, but I do enjoy drinking Guinness. And what I thought was, I was watching the barman pour, and I don't know if you drink Guinness yourself, but you'll notice if you do, that the barman actually pours about half a pint, and actually makes you wait before you get it. And to let the beer settle, it's kind of a masochistic drink. You pay for it, and the barman makes you watch it for 4 minutes. So, but if you go to like some nightclubs, they just throw the beer at you, and the other extreme is a little bar at home in a village called Dramara. And what they do is they actually pour the pints at the start of the day, and then just top them off as people come in to drink. So now you Guinness out for an hour. I think officially Guinness says 4 minutes, but I sat and wondered one day, you know, with all this mystery, is there some sort of science that can tell us just exactly when we have the perfect pint? You know, when is the perfect pint? When my Guinness going to be open? And it turns out that there is a test, and you'll be able to do this anytime yourself. And the piece of very expensive equipment you'll need for this is a pound coin, and I've got one here. And what you do is, whenever I'm going to pour my pint here, right? So whenever Guinness is first poured into a glass, and you tap it with a coin, it sounds like the glass is actually made of plastic. Something very, very strange happens when you leave it alone for a while, in that the glass turns back into a glass. You get plastic, and you get glass whenever the pint is perfectly settled. No, I've left my very important drop in the corner, so I'll just have to go and get it. Now, this isn't some sort of black magic, I'm afraid. A bit of a pun there. Black magic. But I'm getting a tenner for Guinness for a minute. What's actually happening is, to think about what's actually happening, we need to know a little bit more about what exactly sound is. Now, sound, fortunately we can't see it, but whenever I talk, I make a sound. And what happens is, when I talk, I force an energy ripple out of my mouth, whether you like it or not, across the room. So whenever I speak, a little pulse of energy travels along the room, and you get to hear what I just said. Now, unfortunately, we can't see sound, so I brought something that will let us sort of visualize what sound looks like, and I need a volunteer. Would you mind sort of holding this across there? So, I hope everybody can see this. But if you could actually see sound, what it would look like is a little pulse moving through the air, a little pulse of energy, moving along my slinky spring like that. You see what I mean? Now, the pitch of this sound, or what it sounds like, depends on how fast these little pulses go back and forward. Now, I have quite a low voice, so these little pulses travel back and forward, nice and slowly, in a rolling lilt. Now, if I was to give up my job as a scientist, and take up a bit of a spare time job as a Bee Gees tribute act singer, it would look a lot more like this, so I'd be like, you can't tell what will happen. By the way, I'm not leaving my day job. you don't have to go into hiding. So what happens is, in our pint, when it's fully settled, when you get that's a nice high note, there's lots of energy going back and forward really quickly. But in the plastic glass, it's a lower sound. So somehow, the sound in the beer is being slowed down. And the reason that happens is because whenever you pour a beer, lots of little white creamy bubbles are obviously churning around. And it's not just Guinness, it's all beers, apart from lager. And it's just, the bubbles are churning around. What happens if my left hand is a bubble? It comes in, and it destroys the sound wave, and it slows the sound wave down. And it doesn't let it go really fast through the beer. So what happens is, because I've slowed the sound wave down, it actually changes how you hear it. So it sounds, by coincidence, that it's in plastic. The glass is made of plastic when I tap it, because the bubbles have slowed it down. Now, thank you very much. I'm sure you're on. But so whenever these bubbles all settle into the nice creamy head at the top of my Guinness, and it's perfectly ready to drink, the sound returns because there's no bubbles in it anymore. So I know that my Guinness is perfectly ready to drink. And that, my friends, is the science of a perfect pint.